if white people discovered everything, and if they were black, aliens helped them. There we go. That's it.
That would be the
entirety of human history.
The way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Human history. Those people who think like everything was from aliens.
Yeah.
Like, which is not true. We figured some stuff out.
The only people who think that are the History Channel.
It's only ever people that are black that used alien technology. All white people are like, oh, so he's a genius, and then it's like, oh, the Egyptians, slightly brown, aliens helped them build the pyramid. Like, Aztecs, black, they didn't, aliens did it. If white people had to build pyramids, they'd be like fucking geniuses. Absolutely, look at the engineering that goes into this shit.
Dude, that would be a hilarious history show to host where like you never acknowledge it, but you just go around like debunking non-white stuff. Like that's all that you're just like clearly you slowly become more of a racist as you guys until you get canceled.
You're just standing there. This guy's literally showing
the last episode of the show is like the tremendous feat of Nazi architecture.
There's this black guy using a lever to lift a rock, and he's just like, so who taught you that? And he's like, I made it myself. So aliens, right? Oh, you fuckhead.
Someone must have come and instructed you on how to use this lever. You couldn't have possibly intuited your way into it.
So how many races are in the 40K universe, Carl?
No, there's. So if you're talking about the tabletop board game, there's like a limit on that. I have no idea what it is, but a couple dozen probably. But if you're talking about like in all of the lore, then there's thousands, right? Because there's maybe 3 or 4 dozen like named races that have larger stories about them. But like I've heard tell of like, 100 worlds I've conquered, 100 different species knelt at my feet, and it's like, oh shit! Like we didn't even get to talk about the worm people of Epsilon 3 or the badger folk of Trigolar 4. Like they just shit on them. They. Like there wasn't anything they could give to them. They didn't have any cool tech or anything. They're like, yeah, we just slaughtered the Badger people and took their world. Like we didn't negotiate, and there really wasn't a whole war to write a story about because they were Badger people. So
that's where I think it'll get confusing though, because you've got like shit like the Space Marines and like Chaos Space Marines, and they have like inside them they have like a whole bunch of different sects and shit that do different fucking crap, and it's like I think that they're gonna have to dumb it down a lot.
Well, look, there's parts of if you try to show the big thing, then you get lost. Like again, that's a setting. You don't need to know like all of Middle Earth. You don't need to know the Silmarillion to know about that when Theoden rides down that fucking hill, it's badass and be entertained by it. And everybody who read the books are still like happy because he did ride down that hill. He did the speech too. Like everybody's happy there. So like don't try to show the whole fucking thing. One battlefield, one war, one battle. This is the commissar. He's got to like whip that's all you could just. He could be a commissar trying to keep Imperial soldiers in line, and they're always trying to commissars often have to execute their guys. It's like always forward, kind of thing. Any cowardice, anybody talking shit about the Emperor, you're getting one.
That's
do a story
like a lot
that.
of the. Like if they do it in the grand scale, they're gonna fuck it. Like that new Lord of the Rings show is just too grand scale, and you don't get to know any of the characters. But then you look at like what's Band of Brothers, like Easy Company shit. Like that just focuses on one bunch of motherfuckers being badasses, and it's like that's it. You don't need to know the consistency of Hitler's shit on June 16th. Like
because you're just following fucking Ox and the gang and
and it's simple because it's like. Simple. It's like, the dudes with the mustaches are cunts. Let's kill them.
It's really interesting.
Simple.
And like this is another layer of nerdiness, but I'm curious. Like, are they going to show the Emperor of Mankind on screen? Like, if so, when he's alive, will he be alive? Or are they doing before he went down? Because like in the lore, he's been sitting there like all crippled and decrepit for 10,000 years. He hasn't moved a muscle. He's like rotting away in a chair using his like super powerful mind to hold everything together.
Oh, so he's been dead for a long time.
Like 10,000 years.
And they haven't even, and his bones are still there and everything. 10,000 years later.
Doesn't he fights something and then gets fucked up?
Fairly recent. So, that's the Horus Heresy. He fought Horus and he was grievously injured. Then he boop, like vaporizes Horus with his mind, and then he's like, rush me back to the fucking golden throne and stick me in there. And he's holding the warp together. He's keeping that tear in the universe from opening up and basically hell spilling onto Earth itself with his mind sitting there. And they have to sacrifice 10,000 psychics every day inside this machine and like take their psychic energy and pump it through him into the golden throne, which is a giant mechanism that helps him like hold all that shit together. It happens every day, and it has for 10,000 years now.
They're gonna run out of psychics. They
don't, because they've got 1 million planets, and like there's a whole industry of ships that are and people who are just always rounding them up. You could do a story like that that's just about some poor guy in a village on some medieval world that the Imperium owns. He starts showing the signs of being a witch. They call him a witch. They're going to burn him. And then Space Marines land and they're like, he's coming with us. And like fly him away. And like the journey back to Terra would be so horrific. He'd just be in a dark hole, like people shitting and piss. It'd be like, it's awful, a horrific journey back to, and then it's just to get sacrificed.
Because they don't care about him because he's just going to be in the
fuel
meat grinder.
Yeah.
It would be really easy to pretend not to be psychic. They'd just be like, what am I thinking? You'd be like, I don't have a clue.
It's more than that. So it'd be like, it'd be like you picked up a cup of water one day and it like turned to blood or something. Like some crazy shit would have happened. And the real problem is that
it always has like that religious sort of like background shit to it. Like, that's like the crazy, like it's just like this eldritch fucking religion shit that's really fucking dope.
The problem is
like telekinetic powers and stuff.
They have psychic powers that are fueled by a hell dimension, and through the amateurish use of those powers, they can accidentally open a portal to hell through which demons will spill in like a plague and a virus, and they'll destroy an entire planet before anyone can do anything.
10,000 might not be enough a day.
Yeah. They're getting all they can get.
You didn't mention that all of these guys were like hell spawn kamikazes potentially.
Yeah, they can't control their powers, so they'll just melt down, open a hell dimension, and literally the devil will come through.
Is there
and
anywhere
like infect
that's
the whole
good?
planet with his devilry.
Weird. It's like
no,
Wheel of Time.
there's nowhere
like
that's good.
There's got to be. What's the best place? What's the nicest place?
My
I
house.
can't think
It's
of a good place. I can't think of a good place to Warhammer 40K. Like there are some stories about like aristocrats, like the richest of the rich on some of these worlds, and how they kind of live in a nice place and have anything they want. But those stories are usually told to punctuate how then things changed and their planet was cast down and like the skies turned black and the rain turned to acid.
Are there worlds with like normal, like are there worlds where it's like you can go out to eat?
Yeah.
Movies and stuff. Like it's not all battle and hell all the time.
It's all battle and hell all the time. But like the general, like you could easily just be like an accountant on a world, but your world pays.
You're counting.
You could be the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah, you
could
be
be accountant.
They're sort of the space marines of the Warhammer 40K universe. Honestly,
you guys are pulling me back into this conversation. Yes,
I knew that'd get
all right, it's enough Warhammer 40K. I got something Woody will like, a little bit of UFC talk. I want to circle back to Patty Pimblett